Hello there, coming well from here. Echoes of Wisdom, as the last new Zelda game on the Nintendo Switch, had very high expectations, and in most cases, it surpassed them, to the point that it even fixes a lot of weaknesses seen in Tears of the Kingdom, the first of them being Hero Mode. And just for you, we have structured the rest in this video in such a way that only the final 3 points contain spoilers, so be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell. New settlements. As you may know, I've lived my entire life in a smaller capital city, hence I love good urban qualities and locations bursting with local inhabitants in Zelda games. Castletown has since 1998 been my favorite location in the series. It is now finally back. It might be small, even Minish Cap's Hyrule Town is bigger, but it has a lot of qualities that prior iterations of Hyrule's capital didn't have, namely changing its appearance throughout the game, all without ending up as a smoked ruin, as was the case with Castletown in the adult section of Ocarina of Time. And it is definitely better than absolutely nothing, and just foundations for future buildings in Tears of the Kingdom. Though it isn't just Castletown. This game simply gives us just so many new settlements not found in the A Link games. Besides the returning Kakariko, right north we have the interior Goron City with its mighty rock eaters. Going southeast, we find the 2D debut of Gerudo Town, inhabited by fierce female warriors. East of this location, we reach charming Sifthorn Village, and this would have been this game's forest village if it wasn't for the return of the Deku. Their spread out Scrubton is something we never have seen in 2D Zelda, a ruined, though still inhabited settlement, filled with Deku scrubs. North of this one, we don't have one, but 2 Zora settlements. The Link games did have a settlement for the River Zora, like in Echoes, but they definitely didn't have one for the Sea Zora. Their Hyrule top-down debut is marked by the probably more gorgeous Sea Zora village, located in the middle of a sea, a series first in Hyrule. And if that wasn't enough, the Hylians have their own settlement, Seaside, separating the river and Sea Zora from each other. And it also serves as Hyrule's harbor. What does all of this fix from Tears of the Kingdom? Pretty much everything. Tears had one new settlement that wasn't present in Breath of the Wild, Lookout Landing. Echoes of Wisdom, even when detracting Kakariko and River Zora Village, present in the A Link games, has 7 new settlements, not present in those 2 games. Plus it has a full-size ranch that isn't a smoked ruin. 3 water settlements though. Well, you know what that requires to fix from Tears of the Kingdom? Underwater gameplay. Since in Echoes of Wisdom, you can glide in the air by binding to flying monster echoes, run across Hyrule on your trusty steeds, let a Crawltula do the climbing for you, or simply walk. Plus, you can do what we haven't been able to do in over a decade. Swim and breathe underwater, breaking the one boundary within the map of Hyrule that we couldn't in Tears of the Kingdom. Not only that, it is great fun, both in the fresh waters and in the sea. And you know what that means? No more unnatural organic boundaries in Zelda. And that is exactly the way it needs to be in Hyrule. Let me swim underwater, collect things underwater, and fight enemies underwater, without any limitations apart from watching how much oxygen I have left. Enemy variety, aka monster echoes, are awesome. Zelda is known for its enemies, to the point that they even use them in the infamous NES Zelda rap. Indeed. Variety is key to this franchise, and each region has its own set of enemies. But unique to Echoes is that we don't only beat them, we can also use new collected monsters, their echoes, to battle other monsters. Plus, you can bind to them and even throw them to get around or solve puzzles easier. Genius. Just genius. But more importantly, there are just so many of them. Enemy variety is key, and Echoes of Wisdom proves it, as you can use all of them for combat and more practical purposes. Naturally, Echoes and Tears are 2 different games, but there's a reason why after making my Missing Enemies video on Tears of the Kingdom, the list remained pretty much unchanged after the launch. Here we have variety galore, from early Darknuts and P-Hats to the strongest lineups. And that is the thing, Echoes of Wisdom rewards effort. What is the point of forcing a player through tens, if not even hundreds of hours of collections, just to reward them with the equivalent to nothing, or a bigger insult than even Breath of the Wild? That was the issue far more often than we enjoyed in Tears of the Kingdom. Same with many of the side quests, which were simply not as fulfilling as in prior 3D Zelda titles. So what does Echoes fix here? Keeping it brief and to the point, but most of all, fun. Many of the side quests are actually minigames or challenges where the objective to collect is a reward in itself. Take the Zol Echoes collection for instance. At first it is the most basic enemy, but after a while you'll bring over more valuable specimens and be properly rewarded for it. Or while you also gain yet another monster echo. Most of all, dungeons are super rewarding as you get to bring so many souvenirs with you out of them. But it isn't just enemies. Objects can also be turned to echoes, and nothing is more rewarding than solving puzzles with the craziest contraptions. You know, without the need of spending 15 minutes building them or having enough materials or zoning it. In other words, Echoes of Wisdom respects your time. It wants you to have constant fun through useful rewards, both in regular exploration, the main quest, and side quests. But it also has a dynamic, ever-changing world and map. Tears of the Kingdom had the regional phenomena where extreme weather altered 3 of the settlements in Hyrule. Now add that experience to all corners of the land, plus Hyrule Castle and town. That is what makes Echoes of Wisdom so special. The rifts are a genius concept for the dual world, temporarily attaching parts of Hyrule and making them float in a distorted space, and boom, we have a brand new experience. Like, this is so cool, and your motivation to save people is right in front of you. If you don't do your part in restoring these lands and the people who went with it, then they will all be gone for good. A truly creepy premise. And best of all, in a number of scenarios, you're actually saving the people you know and love. It is this dynamic gameplay where we play in a different role and different setting that Tears of the Kingdom had the opportunity to grant us through Princess Zelda in the distant past. In other words, starting out the game playing as Link in an action-packed dungeon and fighting Ganon before switching to Zelda is only a beginning that was better than Tears. Dungeon progression, as the real dungeons are at the end of the Stillworld path, and the first one of these is rethreading much of Link's steps, beating Dark Nuts and gaining their echoes before entering the chamber where Link defeated Ganon. But now, instead of him, we're facing the echo of Link and gaining his sword. Again, genius. Southern Ruins is a brilliant first dungeon, as we right here gain 2 game-changing abilities in Bind and Zelda's Swordfighter form, plus the echoes. And here is your spoiler warning. The dungeons after this one are not any worse. In fact, this is a game that feels like an upgrade in its main quest, pretty much from the beginning to the end. The dungeons gradually gain more prominence, and as you reach the game's second half, you already know that you have a better dungeon experience than in Tears of the Kingdom. As in that game, the dungeon quality is very uneven, to the point that some of them can hardly be even classified as such. In Echoes, we have proper puzzles, enemies that need to be beaten in order to progress, and mini-bosses. And not against a lesser foe, but in 3 of the dungeons, the Echo of Link. There's variety all the way through, and it is no exaggeration to say that it's the return to form for the Zelda dungeon formula. Or more precisely, a blend of linearity with non-linearity. But it is also the theming of the dungeons that makes these more memorable than in Tears, as 3 of them are tied to the Golden Goddesses. Which brings us over to story/lore. Where do I even begin? Well, how about this? You experience the full story with its twists and turns through gameplay, from the beginning to the very end. Yes, Echoes lacks the Master Sword, but it's pretty much everything else that has been a staple of this franchise since the 90s. 3 Golden Goddesses, check, and for the first time in the series, they actually speak to us. That is right, Din, Nehru, and Farouk, giving us the very origin of the emptiness that they descended down to. The depth and importance of the tries in keeping the world stitched up is pretty much one of the better storytelling we've seen in any Zelda. The Triforce sees perfect build-up and application towards the climax of the game, and it simply makes any Zelda fan who's played the games before Breath and Tears smile. Hiding the Triforce like in Tears? Absolutely not. Here it is the great power that glows and is the essence of the final battle, delivering one of the best Zelda final confrontations of all time, starring Zelda and Link. But do you think Echoes of Wisdom solved most, if not all, of Tears of the Kingdom's shortcomings? sound off in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to share the video, leave a like, subscribe, and press the notification bell. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching, and to all our patreon.com/comearound patrons. Special shoutouts go to raw producers Zach Johnson and JC Funk, and heroes Holly Wolf, Cheryl, and Garrett Hoy. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.